Hey guys, and thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Everything Local. Today I'm joined by Bronnie, Face Studio by Bronnie. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure, Josh. Thanks for asking me to come on along.
That's okay. Appreciate you being here. Beautiful little studio here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're about?
Well, I won't say my age because that'll give away all my secrets, but I'm just to get newly engaged actually, so I'm nearly getting married soon.
Congratulations.
As you already know. I'm feeling embarrassed now. But yeah, I've been in the cosmetic injectable industry for nearly 20 years now. I'm a registered nurse. I came from the accident and emergency critical care sector, moved to Sydney and almost fell upon Botox and Botox parties, and that was about 20 years ago. And I just thought this is a great job for a registered nurse to get involved in once I was having my children.
Yeah.
So I did start to work with a plastic surgeon who kindly took me in at that stage and gave me a lot of knowledge and experience, and then remained with them for 14 years. And during that time, we built a small business called North Shore Skincare, and we offered laser rejuvenation injectables, which weren't as popular as they are now. And then he retired, and I needed to decide what I wanted to do with my life. So I decided to try to find a local place where I could start a small business, and that's why I came here to Turramurra, because I live locally.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed to be somewhere close to my little boy at school, and I just decided that this was it for me. So that was about 8 years ago, and now we have this amazing practice here. It's really gorgeous. It's in a nice environment. People love coming here to see us, and not moving anytime soon.
That's a cute little spot in a very good location. We'll talk about some of the stuff you do here. One thing you mentioned in the early days, injectables, it wasn't something that a lot of people did. Or, I mean, you could probably tell me that. What were some of the challenges that you came up against in the early days when you started to get into this industry, and not a lot of people just doing this sort of stuff?
I think people were afraid, mostly fear around it, and also fear around that it may change their look quite drastically, I think, or that it may not work, or it may have long-term adverse effects. That was 20 years ago. I still have a lot of those patients that come and see me, and we haven't aged, any of us, because we've maintained ourselves really beautifully. So some of their initial fears certainly weren't founded at all, and in fact a lot of the people that I see have enjoyed a very gentle path to aging, and I've got some girls now in their 70s that I met when they were in their 50s, and they still look great. And that's pretty nice, when you walk in after having a relationship with someone all that time, and just a few little tweaks, few little injections here and there, and they love it, and that's why they keep coming back. Yeah,
no, I love that. The clientele and a loyal clientele is very important in business,
loyal.
isn't it?
I've got people that fly from Hong Kong. I've got people that come from everywhere to see me, and it's I feel so blessed and so humbled that they trust me so much to do things to their faces, particularly. But it's worth doing. It's really good.
Yeah, definitely. So talk to us about the studio here. What do you guys actually offer?
Well, I think what we like to offer is almost everything you could ever need if you were considering doing something with your skin, or you wanted some anti-aging advice, or a little bit of maybe fat removal on a certain part of your body, a little bit of tummy fat or something. So we like to have everyone come here for everything, and that includes a few beauty services as well. So we do eyebrows, waxing, and what I call lower level beauty treatments. But we have a really good range of really new equipment where we do some fantastic skin tightening. We do laser resurfacing. We do IPL, which is pretty common, but you want to get a medical machine, and you want to have a registered nurse using those machines. So that's a key point of being here, is that you'll always be being cared for by a registered nurse that has a lot of experience. So that experience enables us to use really good equipment and use it well, and people get really good results from all our machines. In addition to that, of course, everyone knows about injectables these days. So I think how I see it is that every new person that comes to see me has different needs, and their muscles, their faces are very different, and they need a unique and specific treatment to their needs. So it's not we might be a one-stop shop because we offer everything, but it's not one size fits all here because everyone's treatment is different, and it's we record all the treatments, we get people back for reviews, and really individualize their look, and they might want a certain look, or often what I find my strengths are in is restoring people's previous youth, I suppose, in a way.
Rather than completely changing it.
No, I see it in women. I see them sitting there and I can see what I need to do just to take them back a little bit, because so many of the women I've looked after over the years really give over of their own selves and give their life to their children and to their husbands and support them. And then some of them hit 50 and look in the mirror and just think, oh my God, because of hormonal changes, and they haven't had the time to look after themselves.
Of course,
we really make nice individual programs for people too, so that it's ongoing. They'll get that care and support and a plan. They're not just popping in for something.
Of course.
It's all planned and arranged for them so that they don't have to worry about aging anymore. We're going to take care of it. So, lots of injections, lots of skincare. I don't know if you noticed, but I have my own skincare brand which I've developed called Skin Script, and that's been a lovely long journey for me to be on, to learn so much. I'd love to be a cosmetic chemist. I do have a bit of a science background, but what I've found is that it's really important to nourish people's skin in between treatments. And I can tell you who's on my skincare and who isn't, because it works really, really well. So that's been a labour of love, getting the products and the serums in the right forms for them to actually affect how people's skin looks. And once people start using that, they'd never go off it. And if they do have a break, then they're gagging to get back onto it because it works really well.
And there's a big responsibility in obviously what you're doing, but also the skincare range and, you know, the stuff that you've actually come out with your own branding and stuff. How did you go about getting all that together? Because that's a big operation in itself.
It really is enormous. It's taken me probably nearly 10 years, so it's a really slow process. And there's so many barriers to starting out with small batches, and there's a lot of barriers to getting the ingredients you want and the formulations that you want. So it does take a long time. But generally, when you get the right ingredients and I guess the right manufacturing, you can actually develop a product. And then we still make some more changes to our products, you know, depending on what's new in skincare. There's a lot of talk at the moment about peptides and growth factors, so we're sourcing those to add into our skincare. It's very clean, we're very low fragrance, we're not totally organic, but we're moving towards, you know, using as much organic product as we can. But it still has to be effective. It still has to work, and we mustn't give up that fact over smelling nice. I'm not into really nice perfumes because they generally irritate skin. Most people I see have a skin problem already. This isn't everyday skincare. This is to fix problems and to make your skin look amazing.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on that, because that's an amazing feat, having that set up.
It's actually big.
And I imagine once you get it there, like, it's still ever evolving, right? Because you've got different skin types, and sometimes something might not work on a certain person. You might have to adjust it slightly or whatever it might be.
Very rarely, Josh. I get it right.
You just
every
nailed
time.
it from the start, right? I love that.
I've been doing it a long time. I know. We don't have problems. We don't have people coming back, and it's strong skincare, but it's prescribed skincare, so we get it right every time.
Love that. So you've been in this space for quite a few years. Obviously, the whole economy's changed with whole COVID stuff that's gone on. What are some challenges that you've had through business, and some advice maybe for people in similar situations to you, maybe wanting to open up their own injectables or something along those lines?
That would be a very long and probably another conversation. I think perseverance and finding the best way to market your services, finding how to reach the people that you potentially want to have as your patients, all of that's really important. And I guess now I outsource a lot of that. My biggest business growth has been through word of mouth, and still to this day there's nothing that outperforms word of mouth and loyal patients recommending you to their friends, and that's been my biggest growth. It's slow, but it's organic and real, and you keep these people. So like I said to you earlier, 20 years ago I was still doing the things to people, and they're still coming to see me now. So that's a big thing. Of course, having an older business, you really have to be current on social media, which at my age I found really challenging, but now I've outsourced that to a young, very clever person that's nailing it for me. So thank you, Sky. That's important, and I think you've got to be good at what you're doing. You've got to be an expert in your field. And I spend a lot of time studying, obviously, and traveling, and I go to a lot of conferences, and I've got to do some amazing stuff over the years that's really improved my ability. But you've always got something to learn, so I never feel like I know everything, and I don't. And I generally am pretty humble with that, because I love just to show people what I can do for them and how. And I love seeing how good it makes them feel. They can walk in one way and walk out the door a foot higher, and that gives me enormous pleasure. Showing them the mirror after I've done something, it's quite miraculous when you've got something that can be getting you down, or you think there's no hope of fixing, or you've got to go to a doctor. There's things that can be done in a non-surgical way, especially these days, which it's phenomenal. And it actually changes people's lives. It makes them feel a lot better about themselves.
Yeah, well, we're around it a lot just in general life, around filters on Instagram and all the other stuff that comes with it, and how we perceive ourselves and how we look in the mirror. And we're talking before about more Zoom meetings and, you know, people changing their appearance, or maybe looking at themselves more in that light and realising that maybe they're not 100% happy with exactly the way that they look. And
I have seen it reflected in my business since we've reopened. Yeah, enormously. And it might sound ridiculous, but I've heard it from so many people that I must listen to that and hear it clearly, and make sure that I'm working with that person around that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So where's the business off to next? Like what's your vision and your goals for the business over the next few years?
I think really we need bigger premises. We're struggling with the 2 small rooms, 2 nurses who like machinery, so we've got ourselves tucked away in our rooms, zapping away. So yeah, a bigger premises is probably my next goal, but there's certain aspects of being here that I'm going to find really hard to let go. Like my front room is just full of so much natural light. When my patients come in there, they feel relaxed, they're looking at the gum trees, the birds. It's just got a lovely energy to it. So wherever we go, it's going to have to be special. I know I can make it look really pretty, but it's got to, it's going to be a big deal leaving here. But I still want to keep growing. I still want to have more nurses working with me together, because I think there's a lot more beautification of people that has to be done.
Of course.
It's needed, it's necessary.
Well, I think as time goes on, it's becoming more and more important. I mean, we were talking before about males coming in now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, again, that's sort of it. There's always been a few male clients, and they've often been the husbands of some of the wives that I've treated. But lately I'm finding more men are aware of their appearance and want to look a certain way, and are quite open to suggestions of how to groom, you know, their eyebrows, their beards, whatever. Their skin is becoming important to them, and they're starting to look at photos of themselves with lines and wrinkles, or they might feel they're giving off a bad vibe at work if they've got big frown lines, so they're starting to think about those sorts of things. And I think appearance of how they look at work, and that is becoming important. So I think it's good if they're coming to someone like me, because we understand that there is a male aesthetic and there is a female aesthetic, and they're both very, very different, how you would treat a male face compared to a female face. But generally guys want to look good too, and I think that's on the up. I think that more men are going to be having treatments. Yeah,
I love the way that you approached it before. It's not always about changing people's faces, because people look at injectables like they want to change their face completely, but you approach it in a way where you want to take it back to maybe what they were before.
Or an upgrade. Like there's so many little features and points on people's faces that you can put a little bit of gel and just go, wow, and they just look so much more attractive and feel so much more attractive for just a few little small changes. So I think that too comes back to experiencing, understanding what beauty actually is proportionally and mathematically. Everything in my life is about maths. It all comes back to maths. So there's proportions and things that you look at, and when something's out, you just know a little tweak here and there can just lift someone's face. and they just walk out feeling fantastic.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Who wouldn't want my job?
Yeah, I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, well,
I love
it really sounds like you enjoy what you
I
do and you love what you do.
It's such a gift. It's so much pleasure for me to make people feel good.
Yeah.
And I love having, I mean, as a nurse, you've always got that ability. You take it for granted that you're there to help make people feel good. But I've actually got tools in my kit now that I can use for people to change how they appear and help them look more like they want to look or they think they look.
Yeah.
Because that can be a bit of a mismatch. You know, they think they look a certain way when they look in the mirror, but they've just been on Zoom for an hour, and in fact, that's not correct.
And they replay that, and they're worried.
An emergency appointment, like right now, Bronnie. This is an emergency.
Get me in there.
Yes.
Well, look, it's been amazing to hear your journey. I've been watching a lot of stuff that you're doing on social and stuff, and it's a very clean business, and you can see hear by just talking to you that you're absolutely passionate about what you do, and you know your stuff. So, look, we appreciate you coming on the show. If anyone needs to get in touch with you, social media is a good place to start.
Yes, obviously we have a phone number, but if you go to our website, www.facestudiobyBronnie.com.au, or one word, or just Google Face Studio. I'm sure you'll find us, and we'd love to see everyone.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again, and guys, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to the Everything Local podcast with Josh Saliba. We really want to push the community and showcase the local businesses by providing them a platform to tell their story. Support these businesses by following the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you are a business or know of a business in the local area and would like to feature them on an episode, please contact Josh Saliba with the contacts provided in the show notes. Tune in next week for another episode of the Everything Local podcast.